Hey, what's up there, my fellow Youpreneurs, and welcome to the homecoming. The coming home of the Youpreneur Academy Chit Chat Monthly Extraordinaire. Man, you know what? Pete Vargas, everybody, is in the house for this. We've been on a little hiatus with these videos.
Wow.
There's no pressure.
No pressure.
But you need to bring the heat.
Wow.
Because I've been so excited to A, sit down with you, and B, honestly, to get these videos rolling again. We've got some great stuff planned. And I think what a better way, actually, genuinely, to kick this off when talking about stages. Mm-hmm. Using stages to build your business. And some of the best in our business turn to Pete to learn how to do that better than ever. Before we get into all the value bombs, right? Give us the journey. What's Pete's life been like thus far?
Yeah, so before you tune out and say stages might not be for me, I want to ask you, are you on lives on social? Are you on podcasts? Do you have phone calls every single day? Are you in meetings with clients? Are you on, coffee house meetings? Are you on breakout stages, big stages, small stages, digital stages? Like, what I want you to understand is today you're going to look at stages completely different. It's what got us to get Pat Flynn's attention. It's what got us to get Michael Hyatt's attention and Tony Robbins and Dean's attention, all of whom work with us, because they started to see stages differently. Because most people right away start thinking stages. I don't want to be a professional.
I don't want to be a speaker.
I don't want to travel the world and be jet lagged and worn out. But what if I could show you how to strategically do stages and do them in a way that actually grows your business and not get paid like just it be about a speaker fee, but be about growing your business. And so I just want people to get that first, because I'm going to show them how to actually do that today. Because we were on 100 digital stages last year, 100, where my 6 little kids were, my 3 little kids, 6 feet, were running around the house above me. And those 100 digital stages generated multiple 7 figures in our business. We were only on 14 physical stages. Only 14.
So this is for everybody tuning in. Plain simple.
That's what I want them to grasp, is because some people will tune out when they say that. So my journey, long story short, I was a youth pastor in Hereford, Texas. My pastor said, come back and take over this youth group. It's struggling, it's small, and our kids are leaving. And I'm like, but I got a business degree. And it's $80,000, and that's pretty good coming out of college. And you're telling me you want me to come over and take over as the youth pastor for $18,000? Like, why? And he said, I know you'll love on kids. And so I just know that you'll grow our youth group. And so first Wednesday night I showed up, there were 3 kids there, Jory, Stacy, and Mackenzie. And I looked at those girls and with conviction, even more convicted today, told them the same thing that I just told your listeners. I said, listen, we're going to bring in speakers, and we're going to grow this youth group. I said, we're going to bring in all sorts of speakers, financial advisors, CEOs, executives, stay-at-home moms, stay-at-home dads, musicians, artists, everything, Super Bowl MVPs, Harlem Globetrotters. We're going to bring in speakers, and we're going to have those speakers influence our kids, and we're going to grow this youth group. And in the next 4 years, I brought in speaker after speaker after speaker, and literally every speaker I'd bring in, our youth group would grow, because they would get this message. They'd get so excited about it. They'd share it with their friends, and they just became better people, holistically better people. We grew that youth group from 3 kids to 800 kids in a town of 15,000 people in 4 short years. When we went to the church board and said, we want to build $1 million youth facility because we can't fit all these kids anymore, they said, okay, cool. And I said, oh, by the way, our kids have already raised tens of thousands of dollars to put down the down payment. So our kids, hearing a CEO speak to them, started understanding the concept of being a giver and not a taker in this world. And so they started giving. And when it was time to build the youth building, we had the money to be able to fund the youth building, all because of the speakers they heard. And so I knew every time I brought in a speaker, my youth group would grow. And what I want your audience to know is every stage they get on, their business will grow.
Yes.
When done right.
Yes.
One of the speakers, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with it, that I brought in, his daughter was the first girl killed in Columbine back in 1999, the very first school shooting here in America. And she died that day. She left her family with 6 diaries and a paper called My Ethics, My Codes of Life that she wrote 1 month before she was killed. And her dad had this message, his daughter's message, that he wanted to take to the world. But a lot of people didn't know his daughter. And I feel like that's the cool thing about stages, is a lot of folks have this message, but they feel like the best kept secret right now. And he felt like the best kept secret. And one of my mentors said, bring him in. And I brought him in. I heard his message. And that night, my dad heard his message at the parent event. And it's literally what prompted my dad to write me a letter. My dad, from all of elementary schools, was an extremely abusive dad to me, physically, mentally, emotionally. My grandmother took me away in 6th grade because of the things that my dad had done to me as a little kid. And from 6th grade to this day, I'm 23 years old now, I tried everything to make things right with my dad. And in that 1 hour of a presentation, something prompted my dad that night to go back home and write me a letter. And he said, I'm 23 years old, but I feel like I'm an 8-year-old reading this letter. He said, I'm sorry for the father I've been. Here my son is having an impact on hundreds of kids' lives, and I can't have an impact on my only son's life.
Yeah.
He asked me for a second chance to do things right. And he told me for the first time in 15 years that he loved me. And that was the day, Chris, subconsciously, that I completely committed my life to stages, because finally 60 minutes.
The power behind it, right?
The power. I asked myself the question. His 7 siblings told him to do this. He didn't do it. His mom and dad told him to do this. He didn't do this. Counseling, church, like we had tried everything, but finally 1 hour on a stage completely changed the game. So I called that man who felt like the best kept secret, and I was like, Daryl, you just did this for my dad. Like, why aren't you doing this for more people? And he went on to share his heart with me. And I want to ask your listeners this question, and this is the last piece of the journey. He said, I know I have a message that can change the school system in America and even across the world. I just don't know how to get it out. And I don't know how to provide the money to be able to build this thing. I said, Daryl, you get on stages. Get on one stage with your ideal customer sitting in the audience, provide them so much freaking value, and watch how they go deeper with you. And he said this, and I want everybody to be thinking what their dream stage is. He said, I'm already in front of students and teachers. I said, the problem is students and teachers aren't the decision makers. They're not the buyers. You want to be in front of more of them. You got to get to the principals and superintendents. That's what they are in the U.S. The principals and superintendents control the budgets and the calendar.
Right.
He goes, but I don't know how to do it. And literally in 2003, I started the journey of this methodology that now is helping thousands of people across the world. I started calling, I started emailing, and I just started trying to figure out what it took to win these types of stages, which that was his dream stage. We won our very first stage for him in 2003, Pam Faulkner, the Texas Safety School Conference with principals and superintendents in it. I haven't remembered her name in a long time. And there were 400 people in there. He got paid $3,500 to be there. It's irrelevant. They allowed us to give a free gift away from stage, a free gift. 350 people turned in that free gift at the end of the presentation. It was basically like the 5 steps to changing the culture of your school. And then they were all asking, well, how do we work further with you? What's next?
Right.
Well, we didn't have a program created because we had just created the talk and we just figured out how to win the stage. We created a $3,000, maybe $3,500 school program. And over the course of the next 2 weeks, they did 5 times the revenues that they had done the 12 months prior from 1 hour on one stage with one talk with one product.
See, that's impact. So why do you feel then so many people avoid stages?
Yeah, it's
whether they're physical or virtual. Why do you think
they avoid the physical stages? I think about Stu McLaren, who you know is a friend of ours, and Stu McLaren said, "I don't want to be on the road. I have lots of kids."
Yeah.
And then Stu, he thinks the road warrior mentality, like I have to be on the road. Well, guess what? A young kid by the name of Chandler, who you and I both know, drove to a stage of 27 people. We're here, we're here in San Diego right now. He drove to a stage of 27 people because he wanted to test this stage thing. And 9 new clients later, he's like, I can drive 10 minutes there, speak for an hour, drive 10 minutes back, and I have 9 new clients? That's game changer. So there's this road warrior mentality that is like, I got to get a fee, and that's the only way I get paid.
Yeah.
And we completely don't believe in that mentality. We believe that it's used for business purposes. So
yes, you're right. I think a lot of people think I'm going to be a paid speaker. Here's my keynote fee or whatever it is. What are the different ways that we can make money from stages?
So there's 5, the business model of speaking, there's 5 types of stages.
Break it down.
Number 1 is the paid keynote stage, which a lot of people think is the only stage. It means you get paid. I don't call it the paid keynote stage. I call it the double win stage because you get paid on the front end. You negotiate that you can give a free resource away to the crowd.
Yep.
So you then are able to follow up with those people and you get paid on the back end.
Right.
So it'll take a keynote for Daryl Scott, for example, from a $5,000 keynote to his average stage would be $250,000 because of the follow-ups that would happen with the leads after the fact.
Right.
Paid keynote stage. But look at the paid keynote stage differently. There's the free stage, which so many people avoid. They think, I'm not getting paid. I'm not going to go to that.
Right. I'm beyond this. I'm above it.
I love the free stage.
Right.
Like, I'm on a stage today, didn't get paid to be on this stage, but literally 100% of the people are getting a free resource from us after the fact. 100% of the people in the room are getting this free resource. So yes, I didn't get the paid keynote, but I got an incredible audience today that many of who've already said, what can I do? How can we work with you? When you serve people on the audience from the stage, you really serve them. And I heard you knocked it out of the park yesterday from lots of people. People can tell the difference. Here's the thing, and we'll get to this. Please, let's make sure we circle back to this. But there's a way to
if you're talking about how great I am,
yes, yeah,
we're going to circle back.
Circle back. Oh, for sure we are. But there's a way to do a stage where people feel so served, they don't feel like you were ever salesy.
Right.
And because of the way they feel served, they want to work with you. Now, believe it or not, it's counterintuitive into the world we run in. Everybody's like, tease, pay me, and then I'll give you the goods.
Right.
And how we believe it is serve. If he gave me that much in this amount of time, how much is he going to give me in like this academy, like in this right here, what you're talking about? Yeah. So we believe in that methodology. And so for an hour, I just served them today. And that's the free stage. And when you do the free stage well, the only difference is you're not getting a keynote fee, but all of the rest. The third stage, which is also a big misconception stage, is the speak to sell stage. We just did this because we got asked to. We don't do many of these, but we got asked to do it at 10X GrowthCon, which was a big entrepreneur event with
Grant
Cardone. There was 30,000 people there. This is where you actually make a formal offer. And once again, there's a way to make a formal offer without ever feeling salesy, sleazy, or slimy. Complete way to do it. And we saw 1,000 customers happen that day. We had just around $2 million in revenues.
Off of one talk?
One talk.
How long was it? 1 hour?
That's why I call it the 1 hour launch.
So I'm curious to know, in that scenario, I'll be frank, like I don't like selling from the stage. It's not because I can't sell. I've been doing it since I was 17. I just feel, and maybe we need to talk about this off camera. Maybe you can help me overcome that a little bit, because I don't want to feel like it's like forcing something almost on someone. A lot of people feel like kind of forcing something on them. Like they're in their seat, they're there, they can't walk out. You're about to start pitching. I feel kind of weird about that. I know there's other ways to get around there, but I just feel a bit kooky with it more than anything else. But I'm curious, out of that 1 hour, how much of it was content?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what I want to finish with is that stage is typically some type of split, meaning that the meeting planner or host who put on the Miami Marlins baseball stadium has got to pay the bills.
Sure.
And so there is a split. Typically it's 50-50. Sometimes it's 60-40. We had a special arrangement with that, but that's a third type of stage. And the problem with that stage is why people feel so icky and yucky, and why I'm going to call out, have a limiting belief around that.
Sure, do it.
Is because usually it's 30 minutes of content and 30 minutes of pitching.
Right.
And we believe if you do the 50 minutes of content correctly, all the pitching already happened in the 50 minutes of content.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I'll buy that.
It never, ever feels like a pitch. So now when you get there, they're like, man, Pete is the only person who offered his product in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
And a lot of other people might, in other scenarios, take 30 or 40 minutes. Like literally in 10 minutes, all I had to do is lay out the quick features and benefits of the program.
Everything else was done.
Everything else was done.
Okay, I can get that totally. I mean, as a sales guy, I know if you build the rapport and gain the trust and overcome the objections, and at the close, my mentor would teach me should happen all by itself.
Happens by itself.
Right? I'll buy that completely.
Yeah, okay. And so that's the third type.
That's number 3.
Fourth stage is the sponsored stage. And a lot of people don't realize this one. And basically, you run events, we're at an event here, there's expenses. And some people understand the value of their stage. Like you and I met at Traffic and Conversion a few years ago. Everybody they understand the value of that stage. Most people don't understand the value of their stage. They just see the bills, and so they want to have their stage sponsored. So we've had clients that will pay $1,000 for 200 chiropractors or $5,000 for 600 doctors to just cover breakfast or cover lunch. And in the midst of that, the power of the sponsored stage is that you can talk about your services in like a soft way. Like, hey, this is what we do. Here's our program. But because the content did it all, in the content piece, they're like already seeing themselves working with you because of how you set the content piece up. When you do it soft, they're like, yeah, I wanna buy from you. Why I love this stage is there's no types of splits. So if you have programs or products that
you're paying to be there.
Yeah, you're paying to be there, so you don't have to give anything to the meeting planner. So your margins are better. Like I make better margins when I typically sponsor a stage.
Is it not? I mean, like I've only ever done that once in my career, and it was a lunch thing, and I didn't pay for it. I just got the dreaded lunch slot. Right, we've all been there as speakers, and what drove me absolutely mad was the freaking knives and the forks and the glove, and it drove me mad. And I'll be frank with you, it kind of took me off my game a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do a good job as a speaker.
Yeah.
If I'd have paid to have been there, I would have been upset.
Yeah. You know, I try to avoid meals, like just full transparency.
Yeah.
And if I can't avoid a meal, I then ask, so I will try to sponsor a main stage or a breakout.
Right.
So we just sponsored a breakout here at a great event, a Mindshare event, which is a JJ Virgin event.
Oh, I know JJ. Yeah, of course.
100 people in the room.
Right.
They ate breakfast before they came into the room.
Okay.
So we bought them breakfast. We built it out to say we want them to eat breakfast from, let's say, 7 to 7:30.
Yeah.
And then from 7:30 to 8:30, we're going to make a presentation. So then I have no food.
I'm with you.
And so we bought the breakfast, but we made sure that it wasn't during the talk.
That's smart.
Then we speak for an hour.
Right.
And our first year, 100 people, 42 people, I think it ended up being 39, purchased an $8,000 workshop from us.
That's a good morning's work.
And now JJ understands the value of a crowd because people are paying $3,000 to $4,000 to be in that room.
Yeah.
So it's a very high qualified person, and I know that. So I think the sponsorship, you know, a couple $10,000, $20,000 plus dollars for a sponsorship, but that's powerful to be able to do that. So, and there's things that you can sponsor for $200. Like a lot of the people watching, like in your backyard, there's every type of an event in every niche and in every industry. And they bring people together where you don't have to worry about bringing them together.
Everything from coffee mornings to whatever
everything.
it is, right?
You could fund coffee for $100 and get the microphone for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's the fourth type, the sponsored. And then the fifth one and the final one are your own events. So these first four I'm referring to are other people's events. And then there's your own events. Your own event is the fifth one. I believe it's the hardest one to do. And I think one of the mistakes one of my mentors told me is just go build your own live event. Man, I had no idea how much work that was going to be. It was...
You know, before I started doing live events, I had a hair just like yours.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, actually, it was longer.
My wife, who we obviously know are the wise ones, you know, she said, why are you trying to build... And I now do a lot of events, but she said, go out and do some of these.
Yeah.
Build your community. When you build your community, having your own events becomes really easy.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for about a year and a half. I went and built my own community by being on other people's stages through those first four, which brings us to the fifth one. And so the thing that we really want to encourage is these are the five. And the four are the other people's. Just pick one. Like pick one out of today. Say, cool, I want to go be on some free stages. Or, man, I've got a New York Times bestselling. I'm a great author. I want to start getting paid and get the double win. But pick one of those because it's powerful. So
I'm curious to know, and this would probably be a great way to wrap up this chat, but I'm not wrapping up this chat right now. If you had to pick one for Pete to do for the rest of your career in the world of stages, which one of the five would you pick?
Man, that's an amazing. So it depends if I'm just getting started, I'm kind of midway in my career, I'm kind of advanced in my career. Yeah, I'm going to speak to the getting started and kind of mid-tier of career.
Okay.
Because I'm now to a point where I can pick whatever. I'm more so pick what I want, not completely.
Yeah, I mean, but you've earned your stripes. You're blessed to be in that position now.
Free stage. Followed by a low-stakes sponsored stage. Those two would be the ones I would wrestle over. Because why free? Because when you tell them, hey, my normal keynote fee is $10,000, but I'm willing to waive that, We just did this recently. Michael Hyatt's a client, and we're managing all of his speaking team. We built a speaking team around him.
Yep.
And we just literally waived a fee in return for a bartering, offsetting that fee.
Okay.
So they gave us a booth. And their CEO from stage is talking about his programs.
Right.
You know how valuable that is? Like, if
totally.
you endorse me from your stage, that's more valuable than me ever making any
of course
offer.
it is. Yeah.
And so you barter in return for them not paying you, and you get all of these perks
Yeah.
and benefits
Yeah.
to have fee integrity. So you have fee integrity. So I'd say the free stage.
Okay.
The free stage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that takes care of the in-person stuff. Can we flip a little bit to the virtual stuff to kind of take care of?
So I want to tell you that that's the business model of speaking. What I just talked about is the business model of speaking. All of that is just the business model. Now you have the different mediums that you can take to any of those 5. So you have 8 online stages, and I'll give your no opt-in. I'll give your entire audience a resource that I'll give to you that you can put wherever you want that explains
Right below the video.
all of the different types of stages.
Okay.
But you have 8 online stages. I'm probably not going to remember them all, but it's in that handout. And you have 8 offline stages.
Okay.
That you can take to any of those 5 mediums I just told you and exercise in any of them.
And crush.
And
Okay.
crush them.
Right.
So you have 8 online stages. For example, you have podcasts. You have summits. You have live streams. You have webinars. In the association world, you have trainings, meaning they don't call them webinars. They have paid members who come to monthly trainings that are paid members.
Yeah.
So you have trainings. You have blogs and vlogs. You have online media. And I knew I'd forget one. There's one more on there. There are 8 different digital stages that you can get on.
Right.
And those 8 digital stages, I was on 100 of them last year. And I can get on them for free.
Now, when you say 100, are we talking 100 individual ones, or are any of them repeat?
Many of them were. I bet you 90 to 95 of them were unique ones.
Okay.
90 to 95.
So that's massive. That's like walking around with a freaking, what do they call those things in the crowd control?
Yeah.
Everybody get back, the megaphone.
Megaphone.
Right? That's a huge megaphone.
Yeah.
100 times through the year.
The majority of them at my house. The majority of
With
them
the
at my
kids.
house. With the kids running around with a free resource at all of them. Now, whether they opt in for my free resource or not, they're going to get a win for my free resource.
Right, and they'll remember it.
And they will remember me.
Right.
You remember, I forgot the 8th one. And the 8th one just came up to me.
Give it to me.
Online courses and membership sites. You realize that's what this is today.
We're doing it right now.
That's the 8th online stage. People are like, you want to give this? Yeah, this is evergreen. Like, this will be in there forever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's valuable. That's the 8th type of online stage. I knew when somebody contacted me when I was on another Nashville, there's so many great people in Nashville. Somebody contacted me and said, I saw you in so-and-so's course and like, I want to work with you. And they reached out to my team. This was like really getting started. That was the 8th type of stage.
Right.
And so, yes, I was on 100. So like, yes, this would be considered one of those, but this gets watched over and over and over again. So if you're the expert in mindset or finances or relationships, go be that to other people. People see me as the stage expert, so they bring me on in that. So podcasts, live streams, and webinars are the 3 that are my biggest focus. That doesn't mean it has to be your 3 biggest focus. Look at the handout, read about the pros and cons of them, which ones you like, and determine 2 or 3 online stages you can be on.
How do we get on them? Like
Yeah.
I got my strategies for things like that sort of type of thing, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
How do we get on more shows? How do we get on, get asked to do more live streams and things like that?
Yeah, I'll give you a 1-2 punch really quickly.
Give it to me.
But I want to just really quickly say there's also 8 offline stages, because I want to give the 1-2 punch whether they want to win the offline stages or the online stages.
Okay.
It works both ways.
Okay.
So 8 offline stages. Keynotes in the association world, breakouts in the association world. Association world is membership based. Keynotes in the seminar world, breakouts in the seminar world. You have an event, that's a seminar. You don't have a membership based, meaning organization, you run your own events.
Sure.
You don't have state chapters or national chapters. There's media, there's local stages, there's masterminds or high-end groups where they look for an expert to be their expert. And then there's one-on-one stages, like maybe you're just presenting to one business one-on-one. And so there's 8 different types of offline stages. So we've got 16 stages. Your listeners only have to pick 1 or 2 in each bucket, and it's game changer. And so how do they win it? They want to find 10 dream stages. 5 dream stages.
So this is your all-star list now, right? You're making that your all-star list.
This is just people, yeah. And I wouldn't start with the maybe Grant Cardone stage of the world.
Right.
I might start with the 150 or 200 person. Like start with low stakes. But like if you want to be on podcasts and you want to be on entrepreneur podcast, it's pretty simple. You would say just Google this, best entrepreneur podcast out there. And you're going to find more entrepreneur podcasts than you can even begin to imagine. And I've seen yours on there. You've seen your good buddy Pat Flynn's on there, and there's a whole lot of other ones on there. And you're going to find 5 or 10 of them. And usually at the website, there is some place to be able to reach out to them. So the first thing you got to do is identify the stages you want to work. Same thing. If you want to be on 10 conferences, 10 best entrepreneur conferences, same thing.
Right.
Best entrepreneur summits, best entrepreneur whatever, you can find them. So you find the stages. And then I'm going to give your audience one script that I use every week. And so this is the script that you use to reach out to people. And so the person who controls the stage in this case is what we call the meeting planner, the event producer, the CEO, the executive director, whatever it is. They're the person who controls the stage. They're the direct controller. The bigger they are, the harder it is to get to them.
Of course it is.
And so what people don't pay attention to is there's indirect people who control the stage. Their team, their spouses, their family, the people who put on their events, the people who host their events. And we love to try, if you can't get the direct person, I just want people to know that there's always many indirect people. And I have 10,000 hours on the phone with them over 15 years. And there are about 13 to 15 common themes in why they hire you. But the resounding number one reason that you can get on their stage or their podcast is because they clearly see that you can solve a problem for their audience. When that light bulb goes off in their minds, it almost instantly gets you on their stage. So I just want to give them that pre-context before I give them the script. Like that is the reoccurring theme of my conversations with them. So when I reach out, I use a tool called BombBomb.com. It's an incredible video platform tool. I don't have any ownership in it. Like it's just a tool I use because I can shoot a video and I can see when they watch it.
Okay.
And so I'll give a real life example right now, but I'm gonna outline the 6 parts of the script, and then I'll actually show it in real life example of me actually winning a stage that I won last year. 6 parts. Part 1 is make a common connection to you and them. If you don't have someone that's referred you to them, like Pat's referred me to you in the past, that's how I connected with you. You might not remember that, but I actually connected to Pat.
Yeah.
So connect to somebody you both know.
Yep.
Second thing, talk about them and the incredible work that they're doing. So we're now, and this is all less than 2 minutes, we're now at point 3 and we haven't even talked about you. That's the problem people do, I.
Right.
Point 3, talk about the problem you can solve for them. Point 4, social proof. So show some social proof that you've actually solved that problem.
Right.
Point 5, give a win-win scenario. Don't talk about your win. I want to speak on your stage. That's your win. What's their win?
Yeah.
And point 6, a quick call to action. If your listeners will use that 6-part framework in less than 2 minutes, and I love video. You can do it video, you can do it via email, you can do it via social media, you can do it via phone, but I just choose to use video because it knocks out 2 birds with 1 stone. It follows the script and it shows them a little bit of taste of what they would get with me on their stage.
Absolutely.
So I love video. And so I reached out to a stage last year. I wanted to be on it. World Series of Sales. Michael Phelps is the opening keynote. He's probably making $150,000. Howie Mandel's the closing keynote. He's probably making $150,000. I wanted to be the Mexican in the middle that nobody knew, and I knew I could get that middle keynote spot. Yeah, you appreciate that. So I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be it.
The Mexican in the middle.
Yes, the Mexican in the middle. There we go.
Okay.
We could. I guess we could go all different places with that. So I shot the CEO of this company, huge financial services company. I shot him a video.
2-minute video.
2-minute video.
Right.
And I'll do it in a minute. Hey, Cody, it's Pete. I have heard so many incredible things about you from John and Brad and several common friends that we have. Super grateful for the things that you're doing to help empower some of the top advisors in this world, help people with their finances. I'm blown away at all the incredible buzz and all of the media stuff that you're getting with your company. And it's incredible to see just a small town boy grow such an empire in small old Topeka. And I'm just really, really grateful for what you do. I know you don't know me. My name is Pete Vargas. My life was deeply impacted by a speaker on a stage several years ago who my dad heard him speak. And long story short, it's what prompted my dad to ask for forgiveness for the dad that he was growing up to me. And as a result, that day I started committing my life to booking stages for the rest of my life because of that speaker on that stage. And one of the stages, and this is now about to speak to his pain point, that we really perfected was the local stage. We've booked thousands of local stages across the world. And local stages are so powerful because instead of your advisors relying on people to maybe come to some dinner that they're hosting, why not go to the dentists, doctors, and lawyers in their backyard and actually not have to rely, but know that they all gather once a month and they could be speaking to them every single month. That's what we teach your advisors to do. And we've literally booked tens of thousands of stages across the world. And those stages have generated tens of millions of dollars for our clients. And I would love to talk to you about speaking at the World Series of Sales, but also sponsorship opportunities at the World Series of Sales. So could we schedule 5 minutes, get on the phone, and I'd love to talk to you about how we could help your advisors. Literally 2 minutes.
Send.
See him watch it a day later. I'm
Right.
like, whoa. And then I see him click my calendar link and actually schedule a call. This is a massive company, like massive company. A week later, we're on the phone. We booked the stage. I ended up being the Mexican in the middle that only got paid $10,000.
Okay.
So now we're going back to the paid keynote stage.
Right.
At the end of the presentation, I said, we've got a conference promotion that, we have a conference promotion, and I just softly talked about it. You can see my team at the booth this week, and it was our $8,000 workshops. And that weekend, we did over 100 workshops, and it was our first $1 million stage.
Wow.
And we got paid to be on that stage. That's crazy. And so that was the actual script that I used. And Chris, I use it every single week. Our team uses it every single week. Our clients use it every single week. And now all of this community can use it every single week. I will say it's a lot easier to use and win an online stage quicker than it is to win an offline stage. Like, full disclosure, that story isn't the norm. What made that story even more powerful is that I had a couple of common people that actually referred me to him, and that helped expedite that. But that script for digital stages is money, and people can start winning stages today.
I can see it working. I mean, I get pitched daily for people to come onto the podcast, for example, even though we don't even do interviews on the podcast anymore, right? And there's just so much crap outreach going on that when something really good comes your way, it's so easy for it to stand out, but people don't make the extra effort to do it a lot of the time.
They cut and paste.
Right.
You can actually see in your
mind. We talked about this earlier.
You can actually see cut and paste. I had to do a little research on Cody to know that he was from Topeka and that he was a small town boy that had built this big company. So it's
extra effort.
It's extra effort. And you know how much extra? I just got goosebumps. 3 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Maybe 5.
Yeah.
3 to 5 minutes to win a stage that now to this day has created multiple. That one stage, that was just the immediate value. Mm-hmm. And that was only one workshop. We had 3 different workshops. So those came to one, and they were like, oh, we want the second, and we want the third. So the value of that one stage for me doing the 3 to 5 extra minutes of work, instead of cutting and pasting something, it's game changer.
It's great stuff, man. I feel like we could go forever, but we don't have the time to do it. If there's one thing, I'm going to end. Okay, so I got to tell a quick story.
Yeah, please.
Can I tell a quick story real quick?
Yeah.
This is probably my most embarrassing moment as a speaker. And I've had a few. This is pretty embarrassing. I did a keynote speech in Philadelphia at the National Speakers Association.
NSA.
In Philadelphia a few years back. I was up on stage, and I did a 45-minute session, and there was a lady in the front row that was she couldn't take her eyes off me. Now, if she was, a 30-something, well, yeah, actually, regardless of age, if she was a lady and I was single and she was checking me out the whole time, I'd be like, yeah, she's into me. This chick likes me, right? This is so big going to be like, obviously she's into me, but she wasn't, and she was staring at me intently for the entire 45 minutes. And when I was done, I got off the stage and signed some books, posed for some selfies, did all that, egocentric stuff. And she came up to me when everybody else had gone. She said to me, I loved your presentation. I have made pages of notes and you got some really good takeaways, but I got to tell you something. It's been bugging me since the moment you stepped up on stage. I said, what is it? She said, you're flying low. My flies had been down the entire presentation. Now, what do you think is the last thing that Chris Ducker does every time just before he jumps on stage?
Yeah.
Now, I go, oh yeah, it's good. I'm
good
ready to go. Chris Ducker! The most embarrassing story ever. Imagine 45 minutes, dude.
Oh, man.
Shocking. But I'm going to follow up with a question and then we're going to wrap. What is the one thing that we can do, virtual or physical, as speakers to become better at our craft?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you two things.
Of course you are. Because he over-delivers.
So the first thing is, number one, immediately connect with people's hearts. Immediately. When you their hearts. When you get on stage, when you can connect with their heart, there is so much data that people are guarded when somebody comes up on stage. They're guarded.
I can see that.
So connect with their heart, and immediately their minds are going to be open to hear you teach your genius. And so we're a big believer in connecting with their heart. For me, that's with passion. For another friend of mine, it's with comedy. For another friend of mine, it's with dancing. She gets up there and she dances right out of the get-go. And you're like, wow, this is fun. But people feel connected. Right away connect with their hearts. And then the second piece of advice that I would tell you is, I think the reason why we see such egocentric speakers, or the complete opposite, we see people so afraid of speaking, is because we're in our own minds. We're in our own heads. Michael Hyatt told me the way that he overcame the fear of public speaking. He called his wife one time and he was so afraid. He was so afraid. And he's like, Gail, how do I overcome this? And he just shared this with me recently. And Gail goes, the problem is you're in your head and you're not even thinking about them in the audience. And he was in his head, and these are the two conversations going on. For the person who's afraid, crap, is my fly up? Do I look good in this clothes? I just had this conversation downstairs right now. Like, what are they going to think about me? Like, am I going to mess up my slide? All of that is about you. And the same person with the egocentric, I'm amazing, I'm great, I'm going to get a standing O, people are going to love me, I'm going to be the highest rated speaker. That's the exact opposite, but the same thing. You're in your own head.
Sure.
My pregame routine before I get on stage is I actually meditate, I say a little prayer, and then I dance. And what I'm meditating on is I have the opportunity today to empower all of the people sitting in this audience around stages. If I am going to get to 1 million stages by 2027, the only way that's going to happen is through those people. And so I have a moral responsibility today to actually share everything I possibly can to empower them to make sure that their messages can be heard on stages. That's one of the final thoughts that I have, and then I dance it out. I was trampolining it out downstairs.
Dude, how good is that?
Oh, I'm buying one.
Backstage, they have a little rebounder backstage.
Yes.
And
a good one.
And a good one.
And a good one.
Yeah.
And then I kind of get the energy flowing, and that's my final thought. So get out of your head, get into their minds on how you can serve them. And that's why you were a freaking smashing success, is because people knew that you had their best interest in heart.
Let's get back to that. By the way. You told me.
Exactly.
You told me to get back to it, so let's wrap with it.
And that's what I'm talking about. You connected with people. Like right away, I could see it. So these 2 points actually lead to that. You connected with them. They connected with you. They actually knew you cared about them right away. And Maya Angelou said, people don't care how much you know. They don't know. They don't. She said, they only. I don't know how the quote goes, and I'm busting it up, but they care how they know. Freaking, I messed that one.
We'll put it on screen.
But put it on the Maya Angelou's quote. But it's like they don't care. They just want to know how much you care.
Right.
And people know how much you care.
Right.
And people know how much you serve.
I will say
those two things are really, real important.
I love it, and I'm bang on with it. I understand exactly where you're coming from. Some people feel like it's easier for them to create a connection through cracking a joke, like you say, or something like that. Other people have to tell a quick story or whatever, and I get it totally. You know, the funny thing is I want to give kudos actually to my wife, who's sitting on the other side of the camera over there. I often do this because a lot of people, and you've got a great wife, a lot of people, they see us, but they don't know how important our wives are to us, or the significant others, whatever you want to call it. I remember, I think it was 2011, we were in Los Angeles, and we were at Blog World. Do you remember Blog World?
Yeah, for sure.
And I was going to do a presentation there on building a virtual team, and I had to share 45 things in 45 minutes that you could outsource to a VA. And it was a great presentation, actually. It was a really good presentation. At the time, however, I'd never done it before, and we were in the hotel room, and I was freaking out. I didn't think I was rehearsed enough. I didn't think I knew it well enough. And then, honestly, I started to get that imposter syndrome thing that everybody talks about now. Yep. Why would they even come to me? Why me? There's all these other great New York Times best-selling authors that are speaking like on my time slot. Why are they going to come to me? And she said to me, they don't know what you know. That's why they're going to come to you.
Yep.
Only you know what you're going to talk about. They don't know how to do it. They've never done it. So I get out on stage, right there in the audience. I got Darren Rouse from ProBlogger. I've got Leo Babauta from Zen Habits, right there in the audience in the front row. She was right. You were right.
Almost all the time.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Dude, this has been a blast.
Yeah, man.
I feel like we just need to spend more time with each other.
Yeah.
And you guys need to spend more time with Pete Vargas as well. We're going to put links to everything he's got going on with that quote.
Yeah. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And when they feel served and they feel loved, they will take all of that genius you give to them, and that's what people feel around you. It's a common theme. It doesn't matter with Pat knows how much you love him, and Todd knows how much you love him, and everybody who talks about you know how much you love them, you care about them, you serve them, and that's essentially the essence of the quote. That's why you were a smash and hit downstairs, and why your business has done so well.
Thank you, brother.
It's an honor to be here.
It's a pleasure to hang. Go check out this guy a lot more. I love him to bits. I just want to bring it in. You're good, man. You're good. We'll be back at you again for another month and another chit-chat. This was a great way to kick things off.
Hopefully I didn't let you down.
No. We're back. We'll see you next month.